I'm not sure for how long the term content creator has been so ubiquitous. Have we been commonly using this phrase for 5 years now or 15? At this point, I honestly couldn't say, but a cursory glance at the Wikipedia page for user-generated content reveals this passage, which to some is going to seem uninteresting, and to others, maybe a little bit spine-chilling. It certainly chilled my spine. User-generated content was featured in Time magazine's 2006 Person of the Year, in which the Person of the Year was you, meaning all of the people who contribute to user-generated media, including YouTube, Wikipedia, and MySpace. Now, I know to any millennials watching that pointing out how 2006 was nearly 20 years ago is cruel enough in and of itself, but I also think it's kind of wild and shocking and unnerving that we've been using phrases like user-generated content for nearly 2 decades. But why? Why am I so shaken by this? And why do I find that Wikipedia page so nauseating? Well, to put it bluntly, the phrase content creator, it's a title that evokes in my mind the image of an artist, a writer, or a filmmaker stumbling along awkwardly on a hamster wheel in a factory called capitalism. Of course, the vast majority of us live lives and work jobs governed by capitalism. Our paychecks are signed by companies, brands, and corporations. I know that. And even those of us in the arts, musicians, authors, actors, etc., are still spinning those capitalistic wheels when we need people to buy our art, our merchandise, our books, tickets to our shows, and the list goes on. Our music is on paid subscription services like Spotify. Our movies have ads and sponsors and product placements. We spend time and money on marketing, making our art feel more like a product than, well, art. And so we grit our teeth and we do what's necessary in order to live the freest lives that we can possibly live, given the society into which we were born. And while I admit that dwelling on all of this for too long does make my heart sink, it doesn't evoke the same gut-churning, fist-clenching, visceral rage reaction that the phrase content creator does. A great many people sit in their classrooms or their office cubicles and they daydream about being content creators, self-employed YouTubers, TikTokers, and bloggers with large audiences and semi-passive incomes. And as someone who did just that, I won't sugarcoat the fact that being a YouTuber is certainly a whole lot better than being a high school English teacher. But this isn't about how good or bad the job of content creation is. It's about how grotesque this title we've been stuck with is. Because what does content creator really mean? What is a content creator? Well, typically when we talk about content creators, we're talking about people who post videos, images, or writing to various online platforms like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, or Substack. These content creators also throw a bit of their own personality into the things that they create, in order to add a bit of color to the things that they talk about, and also to build up a parasocial relationship with their audience. And as for the nature of the content itself, well, we could be here all day just discussing the sheer breadth of that particular spectrum. Content creators might have backgrounds in education, animation, journalism, theatre, sport, music, or they might simply be very colourful personalities who draw audiences in with their thoughts on anything from popular culture to politics and religion. Content creators come from all walks of life, and they produce content that ranges wildly from one creator to the next. The only real mainstay of the job is that they provide their audiences with information or entertainment mixed in with a little bit of their own personality. And it is this exact breadth of content styles, genres, delivery methods, and backgrounds that has me balking and feeling sick at the term content creator. See, Language matters, words matter, and that goes for titles as well. But the sinister thing about this monstrous term called content creator is the way that it takes so many disciplines, so many titles, so many jobs, and it smushes them up with its big meaty hands into this gelatinous blob called content. Are you an animator with your own cartoon series? A series that you design, write, voice, and animate either by yourself or with a team? Cool. Being an animator is an impressive talent and a wonderful expression of creativity. Oh, you post your animations on YouTube and TikTok? Well, you. You're a content creator now. Are you an academic with a background in philosophy? Have you turned your back on traditional means of presenting your research and your ideas? Do you instead want to reach a broader audience without the frustrations of academic gatekeeping? Great. So, you turn to Substack and YouTube? Well, you. You're a content creator now. Speaking for myself, I am sick of being called a content creator. I am not a content creator. I am a person with a great many skills, and I have found ways to monetize a lot of those skills. I am a professional critic, writer, and teacher. I'm also a published author and poet, as well as an editor. Hire me to edit your books. And none of this is content. These are skills that are mine, and I make money off of them. I'm good at them, and I'm proud of them. Words like writer, editor, poet, teacher, educator, critic, these things all have meaning. Content creator is entirely void of meaning. My content is work that I'm very proud of, work that is hard to make. It takes thought. Sometimes I'm educating people, other times I'm entertaining them. Either way, I'm not just churning out content. I am doing my best to educate, entertain, and inspire people. And yet, despite all of my ramblings and all of my protestation, in terms of the general parlance of the internet, it is all just content, and I am just a content creator. Whether you're a musician, a teacher, an actor, a filmmaker, or a journalist, if you use a large internet platform to dispense your art or your education, you are a content creator. You create content for audiences to consume. And there's that other nauseating term, consume. A word that we all use without even a hint of irony. We are not being entertained, inspired, or educated by content. We consume it. How revolting. This takes me right back around to capitalism. Content creators might have freed themselves from the 9 to 5, but they are as much a part of that machine as anyone else. And this language declares that fact so brazenly, so unashamedly, that it makes me feel ill. It all feels like it's just a distraction, a snack, an indulgence. When our viewers clock out at 5 o'clock and they open up a video app, the language of content creation and consumption tells us that they aren't turning to things like YouTube or TikTok to be entertained or inspired or educated. They are staying on that capitalistic treadmill, but instead of making money for their corporate overlords, they help make money for someone else's by consuming content. All of this just serves to diminish what so many content creators offer, both from the perspective of the creator and of the audience. We don't have a teacher and a student or a performer and an audience. We have content that is consumed. And at this point, I do want to clarify that I'm not trying to diminish the work of content creators. I'm not trying to belittle their dedication, their talents, or their art. I am also not here to patronize anyone who enjoys YouTube or TikTok. After all, these are places that offer bottomless amounts of education, information, and entertainment. None of this is about insulting content creators or their audiences. It is instead an indictment of the language that we have all been taught to use and has all become so gut-wrenchingly normalized. It doesn't matter how enriching or exciting the content we consume might be. By reducing this beautiful beautiful breadth of art and education down to something as vague, empty, and toxic as content, which is then consumed, we are diminishing its power, its wonder, and its importance. By normalizing the phrases content creator and consume, we are conceding that the talents and output of those who make inspiring, entertaining, and educational art and videos on the internet have as much substance and meaning as that of the junk food made by Hostess or Cadbury's. We are making it seem as though the videos we watch after work, videos that take time and energy, originality, and intelligence to painstakingly make, have the same nutritional impact on our minds and our senses as the popcorn we eat while we watch them. Those of us who work for big companies do jobs that make our bosses richer. And sadly, those of us who make content are doing the same thing for the shareholders at Google and TikTok. These are things that you know as well as I do, but it's the gall of referring to all of this as content that is consumed. That's what really sickens me. We must remember the weight of titles like teacher, journalist, artist, author, filmmaker, philosopher, or musician. We must remember the value of art, entertainment, education, and information. These things inspire us, and they change us. They enrich our lives and make the world a better place. But when we reduce all of these things down to content that is consumed, we diminish their impact and their importance. In an instant, it all goes from being meaningful to feeling meaningless. It's just more insubstantial stuff, void of nutrients and goodness, churned out on an endless conveyor belt to serve as a distraction to the drones who watch it. But that's not what we are. We were never drones. We are and we remain people who are in search of good art and meaningful entertainment and education. And the teachers and the musicians and the artists, the journalists, the philosophers, the filmmakers, the people who make all of these things, they're not just cogs in the machine. They are creative people. We are all creative people who make meaningful things that enrich each other's lives. That goes for everyone. Whether you are labeled a content creator or not, we are all creative individuals with talents and intelligence. There is no such thing as a content creator, but thinking makes it so.